Parliament is a representative institution, a deliberative assembly, where elected representatives of the people meet to make decisions on issues that affect the general well-being of the people. It also enacts laws and can change or amend part or whole of outmoded portions of the Constitution. As its duty to the nation, Parliament subjects the executive to accountability, to ensure financial control, and to continue to uphold the existence of the multi-party system in the country. Disaggregating why one wants to become a member of Parliament is crucial to the kind of message and the style of leadership such a person brings to the job. Who then qualifies to be an MP?
Well, generally, we're looking at qualities of leadership. We're looking at a person that should have the character, the competence, and the care to lead the people or that class of people. We're generally looking at the capacity to deliver.
For the people. You should have to know the minds of the people, and also so that you can represent them appropriately in the making of laws.
Anybody who wants to be a member of Parliament must have the qualifications of a manager and must have the ability to find out things that are happening, and then must think through what law can be brought on board to either make the thing better or to curtail the difficulties that is happening.
Before you aspire to a job, one would assume that you know what the job involves. And what the Member of Parliament's job involves, essentially, is to go to Parliament to go and be a legislator, to go and represent your constituency when you are debating government policy, and at the level of the District Assembly, to be an ex-officio member of the District Assembly, which means that you participate in the debates, but you do not have a right to vote.
For the person to be able to talk on behalf of his people, it means he knows his constituency very well. He knows the people that are there, he knows their problems, and he should be able to articulate those things. That is his job. In articulating those things, he should be able to liaise with the implemental bodies, agencies, to be able to address those kind of problems.
An aspirant should be somebody who has the love of his constituents at heart, who wants to serve his people.
The man we elect to represent the constituency should not be somebody who's just sprang up because he pays so much money, he's done this to be elected. He should be somebody who has served the community.
You should be a listening person because you represent people, and definitely to make the people see that you're doing what they want you to do, you should show them that you at least listen to them. The next thing is you should be committed to achieving their goals. Some of their ambitions may be way too high, but then at least when you show your commitment, they'll begin to understand that there are difficulties in achieving all those things.
He needs to put himself into what the society are really going through.
She should be humble, God-fearing, and above all, hardworking.
She should be somebody who should be broad-minded, understand what the real issues of our politics are, so that when a law, a legislation, anything comes before him at the committee level, he'll be in a position to contribute.
How does one begin the journey? Is it with a wish to be titled as honorable? Or does it evolve from a carefully, rationally or consciously planned agenda aimed at serving mankind?
It doesn't only happen within the period that you want to be a member of Parliament. It happens long before then. How you have associated yourself with the people you now want to be their representative. Whether you respected when you went to school, whether you respected the ordinary person in that community is what is important.
It just happened that my father and I had agreed to meet in my village to discuss this matter with some of our opinion leaders. That's not to say I hadn't been interested in politics all along, but I don't think that at that stage I would necessarily have thought myself ready to start a political career. But that was the trigger that made me feel that, well, I owed it to him to try.
As the 2008 elections draw near, The campaign for votes has intensified, and come with this rhetoric are various kinds of promises to the electorate. Does the aspiring MP make the ethical choice of telling the truth of what parliamentarianism is all about when he presents himself to the electorate?
My advice to aspirants is that they should be as realistic as possible. Going about promising is one of the main issues that gets some members of parliament soon after their first term into trouble. You know, people get to the constituencies promising all manner of things. They forget that they don't control resources. They forget that they are basic, because some don't even find out what their real responsibilities are. They get into the politics, wanting to go to parliament without finding out what exactly they should be doing. So they start promising, I'll make this road, I'll make this bridge, I'll build this school. In 4 years, they realize they cannot do that because you don't control the resources.
You can talk about the fact that you as the MP, you'll be able to facilitate. You play a leading role. But you cannot say that you as the MP, you will bring roads. You will bring maybe school buildings. You will put up health facilities. These are not issues that people have to look for.
Elected office is not, you haven't acquired a title, you've acquired a job. And a job where all the people who voted for you consider that you owe them something. And when you said that you were standing on the platform and you were campaigning, and you said all the things that you would do, and you said all the things why you thought that you were a better candidate than the other candidates, you made certain commitments. And the people who went to the polling station and queued for you that day to vote for you expect you to live up to those commitments. You do have a limited ability to make some interventions, but the operative word here is limited. And so when you are making your promises and when you're saying the things that you're going to do, you have to be careful that they are within your limited ability in terms of the resources that you directly control to deliver.
You know what the constituency needs. You know how to deal with them. You know the type of people in your constituency. So they should know what you can do for them. So you should have your little manifesto, which you explain to them.
Parliamentary business is considerable in volume, and the time for thorough examination of matters is limited. Committees are therefore constituted by the House or nominated by the Speaker to ensure detailed scrutiny of the legislative proposal presented to Parliament. How does it work in practical terms?
As a House, we took a decision with regard to issues of health. People are talking about national health insurance and all those things. That debate was very good because it has now brought to fore some of the criticisms that the minority, for example, leveled against the implementation of the system at that time, because we realized we didn't have the capacity as a nation. So even if we are minded to start it, there are some things that we have to put in place first as prerequisites. You see that at least debate itself was able to market the whole program. So when we debate things seriously, people get to know what is happening. And then people then get the opportunity to participate in the debate.
The GET fund, which came out of the VAT bill, is another clear example about one of the people-centered bill that we have had of recent past. If you look at it also, the domestic violence bill is also another. Women became more confident in trying to voice out the difficulties they were having at home in their marital, times. So they now got emboldened. They were reporting cases, and I think the policemen also took them more seriously because they had been sensitized.
Every decision of Parliament is first of all taken at the committee level before it comes to plenary. And so I look at good MPs, the good MP, as an MP that is effective at his committee work. Then he can complement that with what he does on the floor.
There are 230 seats in the Ghanaian parliament. Out of this number, only 25 are occupied by women. What accounts for this disparity, and how do we resolve it if we so wish as a nation?
In our society, we've still not seen the woman playing a lead role in decision making. And even though attempts have been made over the past maybe 9, 10 years since Beijing to correct this view, it's not coming that easy. Constituencies where there are even able women who want to contest, even variably, they get beaten at the polls by their male counterparts.
There are cultural impediments. Not long ago, if you have children, you send the boys to school and not the girls. You say, oh, they are going to the kitchen. They are going to be married and go off, so you do.
It's a very sad situation. The culture doesn't encourage women to be leaders in the country. I remember some time ago, if you were a woman, no matter how intelligent you be, when there's a meeting in the community, you sit at the back. That is culture. And when you sit at the back and you have a very good idea, you can't say it by yourself. You have to tell the man, for the man to say it for you. Women are always shy. They're shy from going forward to the dream. But I'm telling my women, there's no harm in it. I've done it 12 years, 3 times. You know, I'm not dead. I'm still very brave. Because I'm more brave now because I've learned how to fix men, you know, how to argue with them, how to correct them.
The Indians have done with their local government scheme, and they call it the panchayats. Now, this only applies to their local government so far. They haven't yet developed the model to parliament, but it was instrumental for getting a lot of women into parliament, and this is the way it worked. In every local government area, there were some seats that were specifically reserved for women. Those seats were contested for on a partisan basis, on the political parties, but all the candidates were women. And so therefore, the person who was to be elected was bound to be a woman. Now, in order not to make it like a particular community only was reserved to have a woman as a representative, in every election cycle, they changed those seats that are reserved for women so that it's rotational. Now, what has been their experience with this system is that women who are elected first on women's seats and who are able to do a good job are usually re-elected when it now becomes a competitive election. Okay? And so, having given them the opportunity to serve and to prove themselves, the community now has confidence in them and votes for them again.
Parties should have that sort of readiness of bringing a lot of women on board, especially in the areas where they have safe seats, so that these women would stand and then come into parliament and be able to contribute. You know, women have a special role to play, and they have a lot of knowledge. And because of that, we need them in parliament to add value to whatever we do. We need also to whip up the interest of women into politics so that they would show interest and be ready to represent the people.
But financial constraints is another issue that militates against women's participation. A lot of the NGOs around will come, it's workshop here, workshop there, but as to how much actually goes into assisting the women who have few, who have even been able to, you know, embolden themselves and come up, is another matter. You need a lot of resources. Right? You need papers to work with, you need your posters, you need t-shirts, you need a number of petrol for your car. You know, so these are some interventions that I am hoping that one day it should be possible for the women NGOs, aside the number of seminars they do, to make concrete interventions, assistance, resources, appeal and make it to the women, so that the number of women who come into primaries at the initial level, a lot more can make it to parliament.
Given the opportunity, who would you vote for? A male candidate or a female candidate?
I would choose a woman because a woman is someone who has a big heart.
My MP, since we are all women, we have things in common, we sit down,
plan, talk together. But sometimes the men, if you don't know a man, women, when they come, we cannot express ourselves well. But a woman, you can express yourself.
Women are very careful in everything they do. That's why I go for a female.
If it is a woman who is competent and can do the work, I would prefer a woman. But I will not vote a woman who will not be able to do the work just for a woman's sake.
I would decide a man should go because in everything we know, man can do best.
When it comes to representing people, making sure that their dreams are met, we are there for them as compared to the men.
Men really have the time, to take up a lot of activities and challenges. Okay, but women, most of the time, because of our duties and responsibilities at home, we don't really get the time to perform the needed, tasks that are needed in the community.
I will not agree to quotas being given to any gender. Rather, they should be empowered to compete with the men. Maybe at a grassroots level, if they win, fine.
We have to encourage the women to go up and take the opportunity. Now, a lot of people are becoming gender aware, So if they can stand up and go for the position, I'm sure most people would prefer having female parliamentarians than male parliamentarians.
The district assembly concept was introduced a few years ago and thus seems to be working relatively well, even as there is room for improvement. The district chief executive and the MP for the constituency have complementary roles to play in the constituency, but often we hear of skirmishes between them.
The district chief executive is a technical person that is decided on by the president, the member of parliament, and the assemblyman to lead the technocrats at the district level to implement what the president and the member of parliament has been able to bring to the district. So the DCE plays the role of implementation.
The DCE is supposed to be the manager of that district. And what does the manager do? He plans, he organizes, he directs, and he controls, period.
There is sometimes unnecessary conflict between district chief executives and members of parliament, even when they come from the same party. And it's a question of what the various political ambitions are. And I think that it's important for people to be professional about the work that they do. If you are a DCE, you accepted the job of a DCE, do the job of a DCE. If you do it well enough, at least that's the way I think. If you do it well enough, and you have enough resources within which to deliver development and show that you as a DCE have made a difference, it's not the 5% of the common fund that goes to the member of parliament that will make him look like a superstar and you look like a failure.
In terms of implementing development projects, the district chief executive is key. However, the member of parliament has a role that he can play to facilitate development. The development may not rest on his shoulders totally. The assembly will be working on that, but he, being at the center here, can facilitate, liaise with the district chief executive so that where he needs to put in a word, where he needs to ensure that certain facilities reach the district, he may do so. We have also created this MP's Common Fund, which is also for development. These are very little funds which are used maybe to ensure that the MP, when he goes to certain areas and there are certain needs, he can immediately respond to those needs. But above all, the complementary role between the district chief executive and the MP is very necessary. I think that they need to see themselves as partners for development of the people rather than trying to show personality, trying to create personality conflicts between them.
Issues of constructing roads, building schools, providing water, providing health facilities are things that all candidates will be saying. Now, at the end of the day, when the MP wins, and his party doesn't win, the MP is limited to what constitutionally MPs can do, and that is approval of funds for this infrastructure, which are limited to, let's say, education, that is the GET fund, or which are limited to what the HIPIC fund can provide, which each MP gets an amount every year to decide on the project that they can implement, or you're talking about the common fund, which the MPs are the people who approve them in parliament. And it is the amount that you are able to argue to go to your district that can improve the infrastructure base of your constituency. The duty of the Member of Parliament is to instruct the DCE to release that money for the implementation of a project or a program that he has identified. And some, for example, decide to use that money to pay for the school fees of needy but brilliant students. That is the decision of the MP. And these decisions fall within the development program of the district. Because we have that, the members of the public are always looking up to the MP to also benefit from these provisions. But that amount is always so limited that the MP can only reach out to a few people. But we have not taken time and resources enough to explain to the people. And we have also not been transparent in our administration and utilization of these funds, that the people think that is huge and colossal, and therefore you must answer to all their needs.
If they are all elected by the people, they will be accountable to the people, and they will know that this is what they have to do. And that kind of togetherness will be between the MP and the district chief executive.
Once the MPs are elected by the people, the chief executive too should be allowed to be elected by the people. Because in most cases, what we see in Ghana is, if a fellow fails to get the nod of the people, the next moment he becomes the chief executive.
Both the MP and the district chief executive must be elected by the people. And by so doing, they will all be accountable to the people. So that indifferences.
The decision to give MPs a portion of the District Assembly Common Fund was really wrong in the first place. And it's actually one of the causes of the confusion, mistrust, and a lot of problems at the district level.
It is therefore very crucial who we vote into Parliament. They must be competent and accomplished men and women. They must not be corrupt. And to aspire to be my MP, you should make a careful, rational and conscious decision to serve mankind. My MP should be seen to be the unwilling candidate who heeds to the voice of the community, and I should vote only for him that represents my voice and the people's voice and aspirations in the community.